Today I Met is a conversation series that goes beyond small talk. We speak with people from our everyday lives and explore what makes us who we are. What were you like as a kid?
Oh, my mom would say weird. I like to say different. Whenever I was getting into an adventure, I would hum the theme song to Indiana Jones. And she would hear me from another room and say, "What are you doing?" And I was like, and I wouldn't realize that I was humming out loud. So I'm like, how does she know? And I spent a lot of time with the older family members, in particular my grandmothers. So a lot of what my personality is now as a young woman is very much a mixture of old Southern lady and old Jamaican lady. I can be a little weird sometimes because I have a lot of habits like gardening, love doing laundry and things like that. But then at the other side of that, I'm always up for an adventure.
When you were younger, how do you think the world saw you, and how did you see yourself?
I think a lot of people really considered me as an outsider in a lot of ways. So I was never accepted in the Egyptian American community as being fully Egyptian because my mom was only half. Or among African Americans, sometimes more so around my age, I would have been considered an outsider as well because I was other. So I was Black, but I was still Jamaican and other things. So they thought that I didn't understand the African American experience. Yeah. So it was really just trying to navigate different worlds and trying to find a place where I fit in. And I happened to be really shy, so I didn't really look to be part of a particular group. I just ended up doing my own thing anyway. As I got older, I used that as a tool. As an advantage, actually, as a positive.
How?
It allowed me to navigate so many different spheres and circles of people and have a wide understanding. So it made me feel like a global citizen.
Fawziah, what's something your thoughts have radically changed on?
I'm getting too old.
Yes. It's such a common way of approaching.
It's so annoying because I feel like I'm so socialized to think this way, that I set my achievement based on my age, where I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, okay, I am on the verge of being 32. I should have done X, Y, and Z by this date. It's really a dangerous kind of way of thinking or ideas to hold. People think millennials are lazy. We're not lazy. We've been handed a terrible deck of cards. Yeah. And so just really trying to navigate that, whereas my parents at my age, they were getting divorced.
Yeah.
Right. And that's not what I would want for myself right now. And I often think sometimes I'm like, oh my God, if I had children right now, I'm like, they would starve to death because I'm terrible at even remembering to feed myself sometimes and thinking, oh, am I going to be too old to get married or have children? And I say,
how do you approach age now?
So I don't drink, but like I know they say wine gets better with age. And so I started thinking of myself like that. I like to think of myself as a Bordeaux. I don't know, I just like the way Bordeaux sounds. But I like to think of myself as really aging with grace.
Fawziah, what do you love about yourself?
In the past 2 years, I've taken a major step in starting to love myself. I actually took a major leap in addressing what has been severe depression.
What was the turning point 2 years ago?
I think the turning point for me was waking up with an actual anxiety attack and this constant feeling of drowning. And so never being able to catch my breath. And I would actually physically feel short of breath. And it was horrifying because I felt that I had nothing that I could do to rectify that or to feel better. Taking the step and seeing a therapist for 2 years and then realizing that this goes beyond just talking to someone weekly. This goes to a point where I may have a chemical imbalance. Yeah. And so taking the opportunity to go to a doctor and to get analyzed and to start taking antidepressant, anti-anxiety anxiety pills. And the moment that I sat down and made that decision and had a conversation with the loved ones in my life and said, this is my choice, that was when I knew that I was on the road to learning how to love myself. And it's been about a year since I've been on medication. Now I feel even, I feel steady. And that's really something that I don't think I'll ever take for granted again. What I'm starting to love or maybe admire about myself is a willingness to admit my vulnerability to myself. And that meant getting the help that I needed and realizing that my mental health is just as important as my physical health.
What have you learned about yourself this past year?
I started off this year actually finding out that I had a tumor. And so it was benign, but it was the kind of thing that at 31 years old you don't expect to encounter. And this is the kind of tumor that put me out of commission for a while. So I had to reflect going into this. I was able to prepare myself. I can make this what I want it to be. I can use this as a time to heal. I can use this as a time to get stronger and think about the next steps in my life. So I went into this surgery. I was on crutches for a month. 2 months after my surgery, I said, I'm going to take a trip somewhere. And so that was something for me to look forward to. And so I realized actually what I could handle. You never know how strong you need to be until you actually have to do it. It could have been very easy for me to fall into depression, to become reliant or dependent on pain pills. But I said, no, I'm going to do this the natural way. I'm going to do everything in my power to remain healthy and to get stronger. And so in this year, I learned what I'm capable of.
What's your definition of beauty?
When you learn to be vulnerable and be comfortable in your own skin, I think you create a beauty. I really believe that we are sponges. And so we absorb the things around us, and they have a way of manifesting themselves in what we create or what we then bring around us. And so whatever you're producing, so you're putting some level of yourself into it. And so I think your beauty is reflected in all of the things that you touch.
I said, you know what? I want to be that person who can go somewhere and not be afraid. I want to go work with animals in the jungle. I've always wanted to do it. I decided I was going to go to South America and go to Bolivia and volunteer in the jungle with jaguars and pumas.